Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 o'clock in Rwanda, and I think it's the right time for us to talk about agriculture. Where I am now, it's raining, and it's a blessing for most of the farmers when it's not heavy, I must add. So my name is Robert Ganzamore. I'm a Rwandan. I work for Share Screen Africa, and I'm very happy to be your host for today's talk. This is the second talk of the Conservation Agriculture series, of which the first one was the introduction to conservation agriculture. We went through the principles and the basics of conservation agriculture, and today we're going to talk about the economics of it. Is it viable business-wise? And we have with us Alex Lamberts, who is going to talk about the economics of conservation agriculture. The general topic of this conservation agriculture series is to learn about the principles, the science, and the innovations behind conservation agriculture. And today we're going to talk about the economics of conservation agriculture. So first of all, we want the people in the attendance that at the end of this talk, they would have understood conservation agriculture principles. We have went through them last time, but we will try to do a recap on them. So that's our first key learning outcome. And the second is understanding the economic and environmental justifications of conservation agriculture. And the third one is understanding the experiences and what benefits that small-scale farmers derive from conservation agriculture. And then the fourth one is I would say the extension of the third one, going from small-scale to large-scale farmers, what are their benefits? And then the last one is the key takeaways for scaling the conservation agriculture principles. And then, like I said, when we were starting with us, we have Alex Lambert, who is going to be the speaker for today's session. He works for National Irrigation Cooperative. He's the advisor. He has been there for 8 years, and he works for um, um, con Nature Conservation Trust in Rwanda in South Africa, and he has been there for 14 years. And that's a very short introduction to him. I would ask him to unmute himself and um, share his screen and start the presentation, and a little bit of background about himself, something fun. Let's start there. Alex, if you can take over. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Um, I'm gonna just put my slides on. I hope everyone can hear me. Then I will start with the economics of conservation agriculture. Thank you for the introduction. Like Robert said, I'm Alexander Lamberts or Alex Lamberts. I'm the Muzungu of Nasho. So I've been here at the project for 8 years, and I will just give you some feedback on what we've learned over the last 8 years. It's the economics of conservation agriculture with a bit of focus on small-scale farmer agriculture. Um, so the agenda for the slideshow is the introduction, and then a bit about National Irrigation Cooperative, which we call NICO. We're going to talk about conservation agriculture, how we rolled out CA under small-scale farmers, and then also look at the difference between small-scale farmers and commercial-scale farmers, and then just some take-home message. Before I continue, you can just give me a nod if you can hear me well, and then I continue. So
Yes,
Robert did
Alex.
introduce me. I'm not going to introduce me again, but I want to start by telling you more about Nasho Irrigation Cooperative. We are in Kirehe district in the eastern side of Rwanda. Um, our donor and Howard Buffett, he had a vision to give farmers in a drought-prone area of Rwanda rain. So he came with center pivots. He installed 63 pivots on an area of 1,170 hectares. And the project was commissioned in 2016. Of this 1,100 hectares, we have about 2,000 landowners. That gives us about 0.5 hectare per farmer under irrigation. So we have an impact on a lot of people's life. It's 2,000 farmers, 2,000 families, more casual workers. And we came in with the idea of also introducing conservation agriculture to farmers, because without soil, we will not be able to farm this area for a long time. This is just a touching message that I saw last year in the news in Rwanda. Was the Rwanda Minister of Environmental Affairs said that Rwanda loses about 27 million metric ton of soil each year. And she gave a value to that of about 616 million US dollars. So per ton is not much, but the effect of losing soil is far greater than we can replace soil. And with Rwanda's topography, we see that the soil is losing a lot faster. The picture on the slideshow is actually a picture where we did tillage at Nasho, and we had a big rain event, and we saw very bad erosion. On the right, you see a picture of also under the pivot where we have soybean in maize residue. So what are the main principles of CA? You all know them: is minimizing soil disturbance, maintaining soil cover, and crop rotation. So those three principles we work on at NICO. What I think about soil is that it's not a growth medium. So if we go to a greenhouse, we have a growth medium, and we micromanage our growth medium to produce crops. Our soil stores moisture, it stores nutrients, it stores microbes or biodiversity, but it also stores carbon. So if we think of what the economic benefits are of the above, it just makes sense to do conservation agriculture. If we can store moisture, we don't have to irrigate as much. If we can store nutrients, we don't have to fertilize that much. If we have microbes, we have more breakdown of residues, we have more breakdown of synthetic fertilizer, we have healthier crops. If we store carbon in the soil, we can help to fight global warming. And so there's a lot of advantages that we don't know the value in monetary value, but it just makes sense to do CA. So why does NICO promote CA? NICO stands for NICO Irrigation Cooperative. CA improves soil health and productivity. CA contributes to environmental sustainability and climate resilience. But the third one is CA ensures a cost saving. And in the slide, I want to show you that farmers really feel the cost saving. So when we started rolling out CA under small scale farmers, first of all, we worked on the three principles. So the first one was to minimize soil disturbance by not turning the soil with the hoe. Instead, we've asked our farmers to start scraping the surface. So that is less labor intensive. It is quicker, but also it helps with erosion. Now, the disadvantage of this first principle is that we do not bury our weeds. So if we do not bury our weed seeds, farmers are very discouraged by this, and we'll get back to that. So maintaining soil cover by not removing the residues from the field. After a maize harvest, farmers have a lot of residue. If some of our farmers get up to 10 ton of maize yield per hectare, that is about 10 ton of residue. So 1-on-1 for maize. We encourage our farmers to leave the residues in the field. The residues help for conservation agriculture, storing moisture, storing nutrients, and also keeping the soil more cool. Um, and then also, because we have irrigation, we are blessed in a way that we can plant soon after harvest. So that helps also for leaving the residues there. The residue become a little bit of a mulch and helps with weed management, but it takes time to build this mulch. And then a third principle which we give our farmers to do is to do crop rotation with cereals and legumes. So among our farmers, we plant 50% legume, 50% maize. So it's spreading the risk in economics because there's uh, uh, two two sources of income, maize price and legume price, but also it spread a risk in disease that we do rotation. So I went around and asked few of the farmers to give us some testimonies of the CA principles. So what we do, if we have small scale farmer under one pivot, we have pivots from 10 hectare up to 50 hectare. So some of these pivots have 150 landowners, other pivots have 17 landowners. So when this group of farmers work well together and they start doing the CA activities, we, I won't say reward them, but we offer them a service of planting for them by machine. So you can see Jonas standing in his field of soybeans and it's perfectly planted straight rows that was done by machine. So I asked Jonas to um, give us some testimony on what you think economic benefits was for him so far. So for him so far, he says TA reduced farming costs, and now he has more money to pay for things like school fees. And I asked him how long did it take him? It took him about 4 seasons to see a change in wheat population. And now he can do weeding with much less casuals. The day I went to his field, he only had 7 casuals. And they did weeding by pulling them by hand. No hoe, no hula hoe. It is just the topsoil has less weed seeds, so there's less weeds to germinate. So Jonas is saying he's saving about 50% on weeding cost. So that is a profit to him. And he also says that he increased his soybean yield from 2 to 3 ton, and on maize he can get up to 9 ton a hectare. And on our demonstration pivot, we've also seen that we get more increase in legume, even though we're not applying any fertilizer. The the microenvironment for um, the nodulation increase as the soil gets cooler, as we get more microbes in the soil. So we've also seen some very good soybean yields. And then for him, there's also advantage of working in less muddy conditions since doing CA. So that's because we can work on the mulch. Uh, Another farmer we asked to give a testimony is Samuel, call him Madaga. He's a model farmer in Pivot 4. He's been doing CA for 4 years. He said that leaving the residues in his field has reduced his cost to apply manure. So in this case, he's seen that the residues decompose, and he feel that he has an advantage of not applying manure. So he says over time his overall production cost has reduced. And he says before CA he did 4 weedings per season. Now he can only do 3 weedings per season. So that's a great saving of 25%. But he's not been doing CA as long as Jonas, so we think he will see more benefits soon. But he also told us that he has an issue of his neighbors not doing CA, because if they don't weed, the weed seeds blow into his field. So that's a disadvantage for him. So he says casual workers also has more motivation to come work for him because he has a clean field and he has a less muddy field. So if he has to hire casual workers, he can get them easier because they like to work in a neat field. So also he says over time, his yield has increased almost 5 times. It's not only CA, but also good practices. So when we started the project, farmers were still putting 2 seeds in a hole. Farmers were not planting online. Farmers were not using improved seeds. So over time, we cannot say it's only for CA, but also due to better practices. Then the last one, we have a lady farmer, Petronil. Petronil is in pivot 3, but she's also in pivot 40. And she started doing CA. After seeing what we were doing in pivot 40, she took it to pivot 3. So she's only been doing CA for 2 years in pivot 3. But she can already see less weeds. She says it's because she has some mulch now in the field. She says that she already saw a positive change after 2 seasons, which is quite quick compared to the previous 2 farmers. She's also saying she's paying less money to casuals because they are no longer carrying the residues to the banana plantation. And she says she's now doing one weeding before harvest. Then they plant soon after harvest. Before they did tilling by hoe, and then after tilling they did land leveling. So she's seeing a cost saving there. And then she can also see that the soil is staying longer moist due to the buildup of organic matter. So if we look at large scale farmers, I have a big tractor there. I don't know even how many rows is that, 48 row planter maize. Um, then we start looking at the fuel savings. For small scale farmers, they never used fuel before. They were using hand labor. Yes, they're seeing less hand labor, but they don't have this cost saving of fuel. And CA actually started, I think, with the oil crisis in the 1970s or 1980s in America, with the oil prices went up and fuel got expensive. So farmers started doing no-till. So I just did a quick calculation. If this whole scheme was mechanized and we did plowing for everyone before planting, we could save up to 53,000 US dollar per season. So that is more than $100,000 just in fuel per year at Nasho if we have a mechanized farm. That's a lot of saving in fuel, a lot of saving in greenhouse gases, a lot of saving in soil that would wash away due to erosion. The capital investment for a commercial farmer can be less. At Nasho, we got rid of all our tillage equipment, and a farmer can get away by using a boom sprayer, a planter, and perhaps once in 3 years an inline ripper. If you were to do tillage, you were needing two more implements, a plow and probably a finisher. So the cost to buy all this equipment is less. Yes, a no-till planter may be expensive than a conventional planter, but you still need less equipment. So over time, we can see we use less nutrients. Less nutrients wash away, and a farmer can use this input cost on fertilizer and pesticides. But in Rwanda, we have very acidic soils, especially in the east. And due to the build of organic matter, we saw that the pHs rose from the low fives, high fours, and we now have average pH around the scheme of about 6.5. Still acidic, but it's getting better. And liming at Nasho is about 85 Rwandan franc per kilogram. And when you do neat liming, you need large quantity of 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms of lime. So that cost saving for farmers is huge. None of them said it in the interview, but I believe the saving in lime is a big economic benefit. And then the environmental benefits still outweigh the financial benefits. We cannot always calculate the environmental benefit if we lose soil. We don't always know the money. We cannot know the environmental benefit in monetary value if we pollute the water. Um, but we know that CA is storing carbon, it's reducing soil and nutrient losses, and it's also storing water, and it's also being able to plant sooner than conventional tillage. So if you have a wet field in the rain season, you cannot go in by machine. You will get stuck. You have to wait for drier time. But if you have good infiltration, you can go into the field much quicker. So here I say at the bottom of the slide, it's not about the highest yield, but about the highest profit. So if our neighbor is making 10 ton for maize, but his inputs are double our inputs, and we get 8 tons of maize per hectare, we are still making more net profit than him, and we are saving the environment. Uh, so just some final takeaways we have here from this slide is conservation agriculture is a long-term plan. The beginning can be very discouraging for farmers, especially on weed management. But if you get one rain event, you can lose many years of hard work. If you get one rain event, you can lose some fields that will not be productive anymore. Conservation agriculture has financial and environmental benefits. I didn't go into the financial benefits in monetary value, but just from the small scale farmers, what I feel about it. And then on this website, in the US, soil on cropland is eroding 10 times faster than it can be replenished. We cannot build soil. Nature does it for us. And if we lose all our soil, we will not be able to feed the world. So at NASA, we've seen a great increase in organic matter from about 1% to 2.5%. This in return made the topsoil less acidic, allowing for less frequent lime application. This is another major economic benefit for Romsia. So if you see on the photo on the slide, we can see that this is what we encourage farmers to do, to scrape the surface. But the dark brown soil, that one farmer, he did tillage. He left some residues, but he did tillage. So in case of rain, he will lose more soil than the neighbor next to him that just scraped the surface. Uh, so that is my slideshow and experience. I think we'll have a time for questions. If anyone has questions, Robert, you can take it from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Alex. I think this was very insightful. I personally learned a lot. Before my internship, someone taught me that the most powerful learning do not come from books, but they come from real life stories. So learning from the stories of farmers like Samuel and the lady that you talked about, and NICO as a cooperative in general, I think it's more powerful than learning the theories of how one makes money from conservation agriculture. So I thank you very much. And yeah, this is the right time for the Q&A session. So if you have any question, you can type it in the chat box, or you can even raise your hand and ask the question directly to our speaker, Alex. So I will start with the ones in chat. I saw a question from Eric, who has been my very good friend. I wish he could raise his hand and unmute himself, but if he can, then I can read the question. He says, hello, I'm Eric Ishimwe, a CA Research and Extension intern at RICA. My question to Mr. Alexander Lamberts is this. How do farmers from NICO manage to control perennial weeds? whose rhizomes lie deep um, below the topsoil, like Digitaria absinica. He added a random name, Urguidi, which is prone to many places of Rwanda, while at the same time ensuring minimum soil disturbance. It's a packed question. However, I believe Alex can unpack it. So yeah, that's our first question. We can start with this, and others can also be typing their question in chat, or if you don't mind, you can also raise the hand and unmute yourself. So Alex, we can start with this.
So yes, weed management is definitely the biggest challenge we face at NASHO. Um, Perennial weeds make it more difficult, but we encourage farmers to carry these weeds out of the field. So use a tool like they have a small hoe, which they can dig a bit deeper, remove the roots, and carry it out of the field. Don't leave it in the field. None of our farmers are using herbicide. On our demonstration, we do use herbicide, but like the Pivot 40, they 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 have very low weeds, and they've seen the benefit of just removing it from the field. Don't leave it in the field.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. So something else I would like our audience to do is to type in your location where you are currently based. So I saw people from Namibia, Zambia, Morocco, but I would also want everyone to tell us where they are from. And yes, if we can take another question, I happen to not see any other question, but I saw something in your presentation, Alex, and I want you to talk more about it. There's a quote, a slide before the last one, of which you say that it's not about high yields, it's about high profit, net high profit. If you can unpack that statement, because I think it's very powerful. And for the people in audience, please type in the questions and he will be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Yes, so what I said is it's not about who gets the highest yield, who's going to make the highest net profit. So sometimes in CA, you may get a lower yield as your neighbor. You may apply less synthetic fertilizer. You may be um, having a lower yield because of also sometimes tillage is benefiting the competition between uh, residues and microbes for the fertilizer. So you get that your neighbor may get a higher yield than you, but he's not necessarily getting a higher profit than you. So you may apply less fertilizer, you may apply less inputs into your crop. So we have a demonstration pivot here that we've been doing CA for the last 8 years. We have 16 seasons, and we have a consistent yield, which is it actually went down at one stage, but it's been going up again. So we are positive to say that we may not get the highest yield, but we do have a lower uh, overheads to have a higher profit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. There's a question from Zachary. He asked, how can we adopt conservation agriculture for aquatic crops like rice by keeping all the principles of conservation agriculture? Yeah.
I don't know if someone else has the answer for this one. I have not, I don't have any experience on rice farming, um, but it is, I don't have the answer. So we can do upland rice. We are doing studies on upland rice. We are trying to put it in our rotation. But when you have a paddy rice, um, I'm not, I don't have the answer for that. But you can still, I've seen that people remove the residues people burn the residues, we can still leave the residues to increase our organic matter in the soil. But as far as the other principles of rotation, I'm not sure which crops you can rotate with rice unless you rotate it in the dry season. Um, is there anyone else that can answer this question? Maybe just raise your hand and then help us.
Well, I saw Felix in the audience. I think he's also well informed with the finances and economics of conservation agriculture. If he can unmute himself and talk about this question, but I know it's an impromptu. We can go to the other question and then come back to this after. Some Prince Chuzuzo also asked, in natural farmers mainly grow legumes and cereals. Are there efforts to integrate root and tuber crops in conservation agriculture, or are they not considered economically viable? That's the question from Prince.
Uh, they have economic viability. Um, we've not done them due to the market. So we have a very good market for legumes, soybean, and also for maize. Our biggest buyer is African Improved Foods, and we've stayed to these crops. But due to the demand for tillage for tuber crops, we've also not uh, encouraged to do them. I'm not saying we should not do them. If we would do them at Nasha, we would preferably choose a flat pivot and not one which is at the elevated area of the project, just to save on rain events and soil losses. There is a need for tuber crops, and we can do them. Um, there is some research we're gonna do. I've seen some videos of doing no-till tuber crops, but your yield will definitely not be as high as when you do tillage.
I think we seem to have no more other questions. I hope none is left behind, but we would like to receive as many questions as possible. However, our speaker, Alex Lambert, have another appointment in 15 minutes. And in using our time well, we would like to thank you all for attending this session. This is a comment, I think. There's a comment I saw from Eric. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment. Eric, if you can unmute yourself, and Eric Ishimge.
I want to say about the people who are saying that about the viability of the CA in tubers and the root crops. They are those crops are also it's viable to crop them under CA. But when we talk about CA, it's not about making high yields. We know that maybe in the beginning we may not get that much yield, but it's about keeping the consistent yield over time. And maybe you can be enjoying the yields of those Irish potatoes which are fertilized with more fertilizers, but in the end you find that the yield is becoming lower and lower due to the law of diminishing returns. You know that, and when there is a possibility to integrate that even here at Arica, they are trying it, and even in the One Acre Fund they are trying to grow crops like Irish potatoes and that's here, and it's working, but the when comparing to the conventional to the one planted in the conventional ways, they are not the yields are not the same, but it works. Yeah, it works, and the yield is not that bad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. I think as someone who is doing research, what you're saying has some grounds, and we thank you for for your comment. We also got something from someone called Redemptus. I'm interested in farming, especially vegetables. I tried one time in Bugesera, but because of heat and lack of fund, I got lost till now. I'm afraid to do it again. Did I find any, can I find any training session and help me to make it, to bring clarity and know how to overcome challenges I may face again? Well, I think this is a general question for us all. We might help Redemptus to go through this. One thing I can tell you, farmers, do not give up. And I also encourage you to not give up. You can also visit our platform. Deanne just dropped our link, our website link. You can visit our website and also attend the remaining talks of this conservation agriculture series, of which the third one is going to be on 16th of April and is going to talk about the science of soil. So you might have lacked the knowledge on the soil biology, the chemical inputs needed and everything. So you might need to equip yourself with more skills and knowledge. And yes, I think we are at the end of our session today. Thank you very much, Alex. And like I said, we have another session, the third one on 16th of April next month. It's going to be about the science of the soil science, and we're going to learn more about the biology and everything that's in the soil that helps bring the we will delve deeper into the biology of soil, what composes mulches, why should we do crop rotation, and everything to help the soil produce more quality. And so thank you very much. Thank you, Alex, and thank you everyone who has attended today. We hope you're going to come back again on 16th of April. Thank you, Alex. If there's anything else you can tell us, please unmute yourself. And that's it from us. Yes, Alex.
I want to thank you for inviting me and for the good work you are doing. It's an honor to speak on this platform, and I hope to join on the 16th. I believe it's Dr. Kofi Bawa.
Yes.
He's a mentor of mine and a good friend, so I'll try and join it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. We hope to see not just Alex, but everyone. So thank you very much. We hope to see you on 16th. Thank you.